with you all at the end of the session, but a little snippet says that storytelling is a process of using fact and narrative to communicate something to your audience. Some stories are factual and some are embellished or improvised in order to better explain the core meaning. Storytelling is an art used to get insight into users, build empathy, and access them emotionally. And like an art, it requires creativity, vision, skill, and practice. Storytelling isn't something you can grasp in one sitting. After one course, it's a trial and error process of mastering. So you have to master the art of storytelling. And so this is just a little introduction into storytelling, but if it's an area that you're interested in developing, then it's something that you're going to have to practice and master. So Tonya is going to introduce a bit about inclusivity, which is the second part of this workshop.
So we're here because you're interested in telling a particular story that you may not have seen, or you're frustrated because it's not out there. How do you get it out of your head, down on paper? There are a lot of factors that you need to think about. Yes, you can sit down and just write, but you have to think about what your goals are. You know, you want to represent a certain topic, you want to, are you moving your head? Don't worry. You want to, yes. So you want to build the connection with your audience, specifically if they haven't heard this particular story that you want to talk about. How are you going to connect to them? Who is your audience? You want to tell these stories, maybe it's something cultural, about society. For example, with my area, I was looking at, okay, culturally and societally, what is going on? Perhaps it's a taboo topic, a topic about sex, maybe about a woman being a sexual being or something. A story about religion, perhaps you're a Muslim who has faced adversity and you want to tell that story from a human, real perspective. So it's about telling those stories that don't usually get told, and you taking charge of that story and putting it down. It's really important.
One thing that makes this session very unique, and one thing that brought us together, was the need to tell inclusive stories. And this is really important because representation matters. So many of us consume so much media, but how many times do you see something that you can relate to, that talks to your human experience? And so it's so important for us to be telling our own stories, even us as Africans. Let's not even now go into other issues like disabilities, our different cultures and religions, trying to build empathy. Just that representation, seeing another black person, another African, wherever you're from, it's very important. It builds connection and belonging. How many people have gone to a new place where you didn't see anyone that was like you and you see one black person, you're like, oh my gosh, can I have hands up? How many people have had that experience? That's part of it. It's that connection and belonging. It raises awareness and sensitizes a wider audience. There are different people dealing with different things. It could be a mental health issue. It could be a disability. It could be something that you're facing, but there is a stigmatization around it. And telling inclusive stories helps to build awareness. It builds empathy, understanding. It fosters tolerance and acceptance, and it helps us to change incorrect perceptions. Imagine if, for instance, abroad, all they see about Africa is people starving and poverty, and then they see you and they're like, you can use Microsoft, you know what the internet is, and you're like, you're so offended that people actually face that, because some people, that's all they see about Africa. And so it's on us, the onus is on us to tell our stories and change those incorrect perceptions and reclaim the narrative. So we're going to jump into our session proper. Yes.
All right, first things first, I need you guys, your brains to be switched on, so I'm going to ask you to stand up, if you can, please. Stand up, real quick.
Because it's a taboo, but it's something that really affects them. So an example that really hits home for me is like postpartum depression. postpartum mental health issues. Because I actually suffer from that. I realized afterwards that so many women suffer from postpartum depression. But because it's a taboo topic, no one talks about it, and so many women are suffering in silence. So these are just some examples. And the last theme is
promoting religious tolerance and inclusivity, and I think we all know about that. We live in Nigeria.
Yeah. So we're really interested to see what types of stories, what types of campaigns you've come up with in your groups to promote religious tolerance and inclusivity. Okay, so moving to the alum. Everyone should have a TD. Please, can you give out the tip sheets with us side? So everyone should have a story canvas. Yeah? Everyone should have a story canvas. And everyone should have maybe one per table. One?
Okay, they've got the one that's filled in, not the blank one.
Oh no, the one that's, if you have one that's filled in, that's just an example for your table to kind of
So if you see, you've got a story canvas, and I filled out one for you as an example.
One each one.
And you have an accompanying tip sheet to help you fill out those things. Now, a story canvas is really, really easy to find. I just did this one. I went on Google and got it. That's how easy to find it. So I didn't even have to build it myself. So if you're at home and you want to start like the brainstorming of the story, you can do that. So you see your tip sheet.
Just put your hand up if you don't have one, and they'll bring one round. There are a lot more people here than we had anticipated. So in case you don't have, then maybe you have to share on your table. Guys, there's not a lot on this table at all. There's not much on this table. There's some guys at the back as well that don't have one. So if you can have like, you can share one. Okay. Okay, we might have to, TD, please, if you can just go around, just make sure that it's one between two people. If just like redistribute, just ensure about one between two people. Alright, sorry, Tanya.
So if everybody, you can also look up here for those of you can see, story canvas. Now what that helps you to do is start to structure the world around the story and your reason for doing the story. So first things first, we look at your purpose. Are you just telling a story doesn't tell a story? No. You're telling a story because there's something that you feel is very important. Why do you want to tell the story? Why is it so important to you? And why do you think it should be important enough to tell others about? Like, why should anyone care? What change do you want to make or to see with this story? So, like for example, I'm so tired of seeing every movie being about a Nigerian wedding, right? I think we've seen enough of those. So you want to think about, okay, is the story I'm telling impactful? What are the outcomes you want as a result of the story, right? Once you put it out there, what do you want to see? What are your metrics? You also have to think about, okay, perhaps I can make money from this story, or at least raise awareness, get it out there, get it in the public arena. What are the metrics for which I can judge the success of my story? For example, social media analytics, website traffic, sales, money raised, etc. Then you think about who's your audience. Like for example mine, I know my main audience, my primary audience are children age 0 to 9, but my secondary audience are their parents. So I have to be able to engage both those children and their parents in the children's books I'm writing. So you think about the audience, you think about, okay, where's this taking place? Who are the people in my story? Who are the main characters in your story? How do you imagine they will appeal to your audience? You want your audience to connect with those characters. How are they going to connect to those characters? Then, location is also a character in your story. So you have to think about the places that the story takes place. What does that build on top of your story? So you're thinking about where the story takes place, how does the location help to assist you tell the story? So a lot of storytelling also happens without words. So location helps you to build upon the message that you're saying. And saying that, what's your key message? When the story is done, what do you want the audience to remember? You don't want them to finish and then forget. You want them to be talking about your story well after the time that they finish reading or watching the content that you've created. Do you want them to have a call to action? You want the audience to do more than just like the story. You want them engaged to take action. So what is the action you want them to take after reading their story? For me, I wanted people to be advocates for raising awareness for special needs, so that if something comes up, they're able to say, well, no, this is the case. Actually, I read this story. So you want them engaged to actually be your comrades. Style and tone. What is the world? We talk about people and places. What is the world about? What does it look, feel, and sound like? If it's a movie or a series, the music is a huge factor. What does it visually look and feel like? You can use visual examples here to help you that you can refer to in your canvas. What's the mood you're going for? Then your campaign. How will you get your story out to your audience, and what avenues will you use? I've given you some ideas on the canvas I filled in as well. Then the central feature of that canvas is your initial story outline. It's the basic skeleton of it. What happens in the story? How does it start? What's the conflict? How does it end? And you're just literally just giving you a skeleton breakdown of your story before you go and actually write, because you've thought about all these things that happen around the story, and you're starting to see the characters that you want to tell this story in your head build. So once you're done with this canvas and we're done that, you're actually going to get a take home once you register to help you go to the next stage, because the workshop is quite short. That when you go home, I've actually given you a template that you actually can start to begin to write your story from.
So what we're going to do now is I'm going to give everybody each table a number, and that number is going to tell you which of the theme we're going to be discussing in your tables. So number 1, cultural and societal issues. So we're going to give you 5 minutes to brainstorm. What cultural and societal issue are you going to present back to us as a group and develop a story around? So that's number 1. 1, to the societal and social issues. Table 2, shining a light on a taboo topic. So brainstorm which taboo topic. Table 3, promoting religious tolerance and inclusivity. Table 1, cultural and societal issues. Table 2, shining a light on a taboo topic. Should we divide you into 2 parts, or should we work as 1? 2 parts? I think it's quite big. So 2, shining a light on a taboo topic. So promoting religious tolerance and inclusivity, you're 3. Table group. You guys going to work together. Maybe you guys at the back? Like this side? Yeah?
Okay, we're talking about the role of the wife in the house.
The role of the wife in the house. Oh, awesome. Team 3, can you share what you're talking about? We should have decided on a topic. What's your story going to be about? What story? We have 5 minutes to decide. We have to start filling out our template.
About stigmatization of traditionalists.
Stigmatization of tradition, that's awesome. So we have sex addiction, mental health, stigmatization of traditionalists. What are you guys talking about, guys? No, you can't be coming. We have to decide so we can actually flesh it out.
Okay, we're like trying to decide where certain society issues, situations like latents, patriarchy, type of marriage, sexual harassment, poverty, we're trying to like link all of this together and actually work together.
Okay. We'd like to be interested to see how that develops. Guys, what's your topic?
So topic is okay, so our theme is religious tolerance, right? So the story is, we called it Dust. So we're basically talking about how in the end we're just made from us and we're going to go back and we're pretty much the same.
And I'm giving us all the information. But okay, that's awesome. We have some real storytellers. They already have a name. Like, what are you talking about?
Okay, so it's child marriage.
Early child marriage. Okay, guys, we have to have decided on our topic.
When respect goes back. When respect goes back.
When respect goes back. I'm very curious to see what it's going to be about. Okay, so we're going for culture and gender segmentation. Cultural and gender segmentation. That's very technical. Interested to see how that develops. So our last team, who hasn't shared? Have you shared your chest? Right, go back. Because we have to start filling it out. We already have 90 minutes. Yes, we have to start fleshing it out. What is your idea about? So you had number 3 called religious tolerance and consistency. So what story are you going to tell the visual? So we have. Okay, awesome.
Gate that Oluwa. When we hear the name Oluwa is not God. Oluwa is a supreme being. Not Almighty God. Because this was my foreign religion. They still believe in a supreme being. They use those gods of iron as a medium gateway. They still believe that you have to Muhammad. What they are saying is that we have to believe in Jesus, but we still all believe in God, the Almighty God. So what they are saying is the Orisha, they believe the Creator. This Orisha, yes. If they go to the Orisha, they shouldn't be hiding.
They don't hide.
You can't get if you have an issue and you need a solution, you can't get what is needed for that body to get it from. Let's go to the deity that Oluwa. When we hear the name Oluwa is not God. Oluwa is a supreme being. Not Almighty God. Because this was my foreign religion. They still believe in a supreme being. They use those gods of iron as a medium gateway. They still believe that you have to Muhammad. What they are saying is that we have to believe in Jesus, but we still all believe in God, the Almighty God. So what they are saying is the Orisha, they believe the Creator. This Orisha, yes. If they go to the Orisha, they shouldn't be hiding.
They don't hide.
We've been caught in the middle of it. So I'll just share what we have. We're meant to pick a topic around cultural and social issues. And we picked our topic, when respect goes back. The purpose of this story basically is to highlight the culture of respect, basically to respect that guards young people from critiquing elders in authority. So it creates, there's this respect culture we have that it's hard for millennials or young people to be able to critique when they see something goes wrong. Our audience are millennials and Generation Z. Those are our major primary audience, and our secondary audience are the older generation. Our key message is one, for young people to have a voice, to enable young people to have a voice to speak up. To enable them and be able to use their voice to effect change in society, and to understand that disagreeing is not respect.
Awesome. I love that. Disagreement is not disrespect.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go left, right, and then back.
The name of our story is Broken Trout. I intend to pass across messages on the dangers and consequences of early child marriage. The issue, early child marriage. I intend to make the female child reach their full potential and also eradicate gender inequality. Our audience are parents, community leaders, stakeholders, the girl child, 10 to 13 years. We have the key message. Early child marriage is a violation of God's right, of girls' rights. Early child marriage is also a form of gender inequality. Peoples and places, community where early child marriage is prevented, and our campaign as an e-book, cartoon series, physical events, and communities.
Wonderful.
So we are to talk about a taboo topic, and we picked mental health. The name of our story is The Jump. We are focusing on suicide, with like a touch of depression and anxiety and all that. So the purpose of our story is to create awareness around mental health, to reduce or eliminate stigmatization associated with mental health, to enlighten people on the appropriate channels that they can go to access help, starting from their immediate social circles, family, friends, work, environments. Our target audience is people aged 13 to 65. We recognize that people younger than 13 can be victims of mental health issues, but they might not be, they don't have that sense to understand what is happening. So we put it from 13 to 65 so that for the younger ones, their parents, their caregivers will be the ones in charge of them, so they should get that enlightenment. All genders within Nigeria. Our key message is it can happen to anyone. You should know that you're not alone. Seek help, and for those who are not victims, they should be open-minded and sensitive to mental health. Call to action, talk about it any and everywhere, and to accept the actual presence of mental health. Our story starts with the actual suicide, then it's going to go back to like 6 months prior to the suicide to build up to how it happened. So there will be 2 failed attempts, 2 failed suicide attempts. Then there will also be like good moments where the person graduates from school, gets like a good job, maybe has like family celebrations and stuff. But in between, you will see where the person actually is suffering from this mental health thing, the depression, the anxiety that eventually accumulates in suicide.
She figured out that she was actually like craving sex a lot, but she couldn't tell anybody about it because she's a female one, and so she's not even supposed to be wanting sex in the first place. So at some point when she was done with her tertiary school, she traveled out of the country for college, and that was when she actually figured out that sexual addiction was a thing, and she figured out places where she could go to get herself treated. So our primary audience are people that are affected and people that are around that might notice the symptoms, and then health facilities and media houses that can help us push the story out there and create awareness and create a safe space for people to come to. And then our key messages is that sexual addiction is a thing and it's helpable. Female genital mutilation is not good and it's wrong, and that it's not gender specific. That's sexual addiction is not gender specific. And that's all. Yeah, thank you very much.